You seem uncomfortable. Do I make you nervous, Corky?
No.
Thirsty, maybe.
Curious, maybe.
That's funny. I'm feeling a little bit curious myself.
Let me guess. The priest brought you here to lose your virginity? Oh, wait. Let me rephrase that. To podcast it. You have all the weapons you need. Now fight. Welcome to Pleasers.
And Punishers.
Where we talk about movies that people love to watch.
Movies that ruin your today, tomorrow, and yesterday.
And all things kinky and queer.
I'm Caitlin of the North.
And I'm May, I Want You to Dance, Schultz.
And today we are discussing a collection of on-the-nose music videos for the world's saddest collection of cover songs masquerading as a movie, Sucker Punch 2011, directed by Zack Snyder, written by Zack Snyder and his college buddy Steve Shibuya. This has a mind-boggling banger of a cast, but I can't really say anyone is the star of this quote-unquote movie. But before we get to all that, May, I have a multi-part question for you.
Hit me.
All right. Well, did you go to college? Did you have a roommate? And if so, if you got insanely rich and famous, would you waste $85 million on a vanity project for them? Go.
No, and yes. So I've said this before on podcasts. I did an associate's degree program at a for-profit college that wasted 50 grand in a year and a half of my life. I have an associate's degree in sound design for games, and I got exactly one paid gig ever doing anything with that. And it wasn't even for a game. It was just like through connections that I had made at that stupid fucking school. And yeah, it paid me a good amount of money, but it was only a 2-month project. So pretty pointless. I never lived in the dorms other than the 2 weeks that I tried to go to the School of the Museum of Fine Arts in Boston. And so no and no to those first two parts of the question. However, if I had a shit ton of money and someone I was friends with was like, hey, I've got this idea for this movie that's basically a video game, I'd be like, okay, cool, here you go. You know, like, I'll go see it. I like supporting my friends and their creative endeavors. So yeah. Would you?
I don't know if I could spend $85 million on any of my friends. I'm so sorry.
Also, I cannot believe that's what the budget of this movie is.
$85 million. It must be all special effects and licensing rights for songs, because
probably
and maybe also licensing rights for some of the movies that are very obviously ripped off in this.
Hey, it's an homage.
We'll get into the synopsis maybe first, and then what happened here?
All right.
What
on that note, let's get into some role play.
Is that your bathing suit? Is that your overbite?
Now, one of you will be the drowning victim, and the other one gets to be our lifesaver.
I'll be the victim. All your life.
All right. In this section, we are going to tell you the story of the film, but if you haven't watched it, there are going to be spoilers. So you've been warned.
Here we go. So, I'm just like, okay, plot. Sure. There is one. I'm going to explain it right now. The curtain goes up on a stage with a girl with blonde pigtails. She's actually, though, a sexy adult orphan named Baby Doll, played by 22-year-old Emily Browning. Her mom dies, leaves her and her younger sister in the care of their wicked stepfather, who has just beautiful emo eyeliner on. And he is furious that his late wife's will names her 2 daughters as the sole beneficiaries. I am going to say May wrote some of this because I had no idea what was going on. And it was very apparent in my synopsis.
I'm here to help.
Then our Lolita heroine, I guess. She either accidentally shoots her sister, unless her stepfather had already killed her. Oh, it's unclear. I definitely thought she shot her sister.
I've never been clear on it. I always have thought that the stepfather killed the sister and then said that baby doll had killed her. Yeah. But it's unclear because she does shoot those 2 bullets and it's possible one of them ricocheted or ended up hitting the sister accidentally. Either way, it's devastating.
She is not going to be in a good place mentally, as we are going to find out. Well, regardless, she's not going to be in a good place mentally, but it doesn't matter because her stepfather has conspired to send her to an asylum, which is just classic men. And actually has a lot of historical precedents, unfun stories. So, I also have to say that this is all wordless and is set to a bummer cover of Sweet Dreams by Emily Browning. So, go off, girl. At this asylum, we meet Oscar Isaac, which, first, mind blown, as Blue, who introduces us to the theater, which is a Dickensian home for incredibly hot, wayward girl, women, orphan runaways. We also meet Dr. Gorski, who's played by Carla Gugino. God damn it. With a very thick Russian accent. So we have money exchanging hands with some really shady shit going down. We watch the wrongly committed baby doll every time. It would be really hard for me to do that without laughing. Wrongly committed baby doll gets put to work and abused by the staff. John Hamm is about to lobotomize baby doll, and we're suddenly in a theater instead of an operating theater, and there's a different blonde about to get lobotomized, but this is for sexy reasons?
Yeah, sure.
Because this isn't any theater. It's now a brothel for incredibly hot, wayward girl, women, orphan runaways. I have so many questions about, committal laws in this state that they are in. These incredibly hot, wayward girl, women, orphan runaways, of 2 of them, we have Sweet Pea, which is Abby Cornish, and Rocket, Jenna Malone, bless up. And they are giving off heavy fucking vibes this whole time. But apparently they're sisters. Pretty big miss there on my part. So we've clocked Jamie Chung as Amber. She's the one who's about to lobotomize Sweet Pea. And then lastly, we have Vanessa Hudgens as Blondie.
Gotta love an ironic nickname.
She is no Debbie Harry.
Correct.
This is also pretty much the extent of what we're going to know about these characters. And I just kept calling them their actor names the entire time.
That's fine.
But then, Oscar Isaac and Carla Gugino do a full-on PG-13 showgirls-esque cabaret dance number to a cover of Love is a Drug, which they both sing, and it is demented, and I love it.
Okay, which movie use of Love is the Drug do you prefer? This or in the Super Mario Brothers movie when Bob Hoskins dances with that hottie?
I totally
How dare you?
I know. I feel so bad. I think because in this movie, in Mario, it's already bonkers.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is bonkers, so I could appreciate it. This was kind of the bonkersness that I was looking for in the movie, which I guess we could also cut this out or put it somewhere else, but this is what I was thinking. I love how bonkers this is. So these women who are kept in this cabaret under duress, they're now in a dance practice in full face of makeup. And Dr. Gorski lets Baby Doll know that she is strong enough to dance to Army of Me by Bjork, which why would you need to be strong? And it's because Baby Doll has magic LSD shooting from her cooch, because anytime she, like, vaguely waggles her hips, we're transported into a wonderland of make-believe. Sexy hallucination dancing, here for it. In order to escape their captors, a quest is given to Baby Doll by Scott Glenn, who is not David Carradine. She and her compatriots have to collect a bunch of bullshit items to escape this facility: a map, fire, knife, key, and a mystery. Ooh. I was like, that is not helpful. In this third layer of reality, Baby Doll fights a giant samurai and finishes him, Mortal Kombat style. It's pretty dope. And everyone seems to think so, except for Sweet Pea, who's like, this mediocre dancing is not doing it for me. But this group of cabaret cuties decide to continue on to the next boss. Baby Doll dances them to a World War I battle where they annihilate steampunk German soldiers to a cover of Jefferson Airplane's White Rabbit. Yes, these were words that I all wrote out. It's insane. Oh my god, but Jenna Malone's wig, straight out of Final Fantasy, like 10 out of 10 would fuck. Just like lay it on the ground and like grind against it. It's gorgeous.
Oh, you'd fuck the wig.
Oh, I'd fuck the wig.
You'd fuck Jenna Malone.
I mean, I would
like,
absolutely fuck Jenna Malone.
I've been in love with Jenna Malone.
Oh my god.
Forever.
Just, yes. But also just the wig. Like, that wig is beautiful.
Okay.
It is ridiculous.
Fair.
And I think definitely a little bit of my anime nerdiness is coming out right in this moment. So.
Do I have to call you out for being a weeb?
I love a wig. And I love me some chunky anime hair.
Some of my best friends are weebs. It's okay.
It was the late 90s to early 2000s. Anything was possible. So regardless, this is pretty much the rest of the movie. We have a music video game cutscene, inferior cover song, badass babes with weapons, badass babes win. Then we go back to our house of ill repute, blue plots, people move in slow motions, and then we get variations like a ragtag troop dropping bombs from planes on a Lord of the Rings movie before killing a baby dragon like total jackholes. Or a train heist with a bunch of Terminators and katanas set to Tomorrow Never Knows. But twist! Rocket's left behind to be fake exploded, sorta really stabbed, and has an incredibly sapphic death scene with her sister. And then we get back to our second layer of reality. Blue calls Dr. Gorski an old whore. Rude. Then shoots Jamie Chung, and then Vanessa Hudgens, because snitches get stitches and end up in ditches. Keep that in your mind. Sailor Baby Doll Spice stabs Blue in the shoulder, sets the shit on fire, and starts escaping with Sweet Pea. But they can't figure out what the last thing they need to escape is, because we weren't told earlier, but then she digs deep in that pigtailed noggin of hers and realizes, of course it's her. She's the last piece. So she offers herself up to tribute so that Sweet Pea can escape. Sure, Jan. Oh, now we have Dr. John Hamm. He's back. And he's the MC in Cabaret, apparently. And it's all freedom and minds. And I can't pay attention because I am still baffled that this movie got made. And oh, so she was lobotomized. These were different levels of reality. Everything we saw was in her mind, and they were reenactments of her real-life rebellions. Yeah. So we end back in the first layer of reality with Blue being arrested for all his crimes while he is in the process of sexually assaulting brain-dead Baby Doll. So at least there's some closure.
Yeah, sure.
And John Hamm is,
Sweet Pea escaped, you know.
Yeah, and John Hamm is really attractive.
It's true. That's the real lesson of this movie. John Hamm is attractive.
No matter what he's up to, I guess.
All right, Caitlin. Tell me about your relationship with this movie.
So, this was my first time watching it.
Mm-hmm.
She's a bit chaotic for me. Don't really know where she's going at any time.
Yeah, keeps you on your toes.
Yeah, she definitely keeps you on your toes. She's fun. She's very fun until she's not.
Mm-hmm.
Really turns on a dime with you, and you're like, oh, now we're shooting people? Okay. When I first watched this, so I kind of watch movies about 3 times, depending if I have seen them or not.
Mm-hmm.
I'll do like a really casual watch where I'm doing something else. I might do a rewatch after that, just in case I was not able to pay attention at all for that first watch. And I'll do one where I take note. And that first casual watch was so confusing. I had no idea where we were at any given time. So right before Baby Doll is about to be lobotomized, I think I glanced down, looked up, saw like a blurry figure, and I was like, oh, that looks like John Hamm. Looked down, back up again, and went, wait, that's Jamie Chung? I was like, oh my God, I was way off. How high am I?
You didn't realize that you had jumped into a new layer of reality. That's how high you were.
I had no idea. And I was actually very interested, like, are you supposed to know that you're in a new layer of reality? Because I didn't, and this is one of my least favorite fucking tropes of all time.
Oh, I feel like they make it pretty clear that you're suddenly in a different layer of reality. But maybe that's me and my relationship with the movie, which is that I like this movie a lot. I saw this when it came out in the theater in March 2011. And at that time, my horrible abusive ex, Courtney, and we had technically split. However, that was during the period of like 9 months or something that I spent basically trying to quote unquote win her back while she was dating some other guy. And she was really taking advantage of my kindness and my service subbiness. So I was like taking care of the cats and bunnies that she took when she moved out without any discussion, while she would like go and stay at her boyfriend's for an entire week. And I was like helping her with all of this other stuff. And so I saw this movie and it kind of felt like it was one of the first times I really realized, like, oh, this relationship is very abusive. I am being taken advantage of, and I need to try to find a way to escape from this. So it was a very cathartic watch for me. It was very much about like finding your inner strength, and even if you have to go into some kind of fantasy world to achieve that, you can bring that out into the real world with you. And that really endeared me to the film. I also think many of the covers in this are pretty good. I will agree with you that I do not like the cover of Where Is My Mind. I think the only cover of that I've ever heard that is good is the Placebo cover, which I really like. This version is not great. Emily Browning has a good voice, and I have loved Emily Browning since the series of Unfortunate Events movie that she was in, where she played Violet Baudelaire. And so when this came out, I was like, oh my God, I'm in love with her. I remember on my old LiveJournal profile where you could list your interests, one of them was Emily Browning, because that's how into her I was at the time.
Wonderful.
So yeah, this movie was like catnip for me, especially because I had seen Zack Snyder's previous films. He, you know, we'll talk about this more later, but I actually kind of liked him as a director when he first started out. He's got these big ideas, and sometimes he executes them very well, sometimes he doesn't. But I was really excited for this. It looked fun, and it is fun. And, you know, I bought it on Blu-ray when it first came out, and I think I watched it once or twice after that. And then it's just been kind of sitting on my shelf forever until today when I rewatched it. And I was like, oh, I still love this movie. Like,
Wonderful.
I put my very brief review on Letterboxd, but I gave it 4 stars because I like this movie a lot. So with all that said, my last thing in this section is aside from the obvious music video influence, this feels very much like a video game with a multi-part quest for upgrades and items. Do you play and enjoy video games? And does that help you feel a little more connected to the movie, or does that just not do it for you at all?
I used to play video games, but during 2020, I got really into crocheting, and it is very hard to crochet and play video games at the same time.
This is true.
So I made my choices. But used to really, really like Dragon Age. I was going to say, no, my favorite game of all time is that first Dragon Age game. I love RPGs, mostly fantasy RPGs. I think because I just like motion sickness really easily.
Mm-hmm. So like first-person shooters are not your deal.
No first-person shooters. Could not do zombie games. I would get horrific nightmares. Even if I watched someone else playing a zombie game, unless it was like House of the Dead, style like arcade shooter, but like anything where it is dark corners and people are like jumping out at you to grab you. I've had way too many nightmares that are me failing to save people during a zombie apocalypse, so I just don't need that like triggered at all. Not my favorite thing in the world. But really, I think enjoying video games actually did help me connect with this, because it's like, you know, I made a lot of jokes, but at the same time, this movie's pretty singular in its vision.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it feels like watching a friend play a really cool video game. So yes. You're not in control of the characters, but they're doing the stuff that they need to do. And I personally love watching someone play a compelling video game. And because this kind of replicates that experience for me, it contributes even more to my enjoyment of it.
And I think because I probably, unless it is an RPG, I prefer to watch people play video games instead of playing them myself. Like if I can really build up my character and make him have his own personality, everything's super customized, I'm really into that. But when I'm kind of playing as someone else's character going through, I like watching it more. Which I'm just now realizing in real time. It's probably why when people be like, play Final Fantasy or whatever, I was like, I have like Dragon Age 2, which I've played 6 times through. And I could do it again because it's very short. It's also not like the best one, but anyway, I won't. I need to be quiet about Dragon Age.
All right. Well, let's go to our next section and discuss the film's historical context and cultural impact in Faith and Chance.
I can't exist by myself because I'm afraid of myself. Because I'm the maker of my own evil. Goodness is only some kind of reflection upon evil. That's all it is.
Okay, Caitlin, this cracked me up when I read your outline. What was happening in movies at the time?
And my response was, honestly, I don't think it matters. So, this is what I sort of alluded to at the beginning of the episode. The story is that Zack Snyder and Steve Shibuya, I think they were college roommates, definitely college buddies, and they had started writing the script when they were in college together. And it was basically just a script based on, wouldn't it be cool if we could make this kind of movie? So, they took all of that, and when Zack Snyder got people throwing money at him to make movies, he may have reached out to Steve, or Steve reached out to him. Either way, it was like, hey, you want to make this movie that we had, like, written? So I will say, knowing that it's basically like 2 college buddies going, hey, we want to make a bunch of different kinds of movies in one movie. Let's do it. And that's what they did. Makes me feel a little better, like that was the intention. Or that was the base idea of the movie, I guess I should say. But because of that, they are taking inspiration from movies that, like the Lord of the Rings sequence, which is so dead on with the orcs and the arches and like the Eye of Sauron. Heavy influence of Kill Bill on the movie.
Yeah, especially
lot
with
of
the samurai swords, katanas. And Scott Glenn is very much, you made the joke about him not being David Carradine, and it is very much the type of character that David Carradine would play.
The German soldiers, though, the steampunk German soldiers, that was, I think, a really cool element.
Yeah, it reminded me a little bit of Hellboy.
Yes! Oh, God, I love Hellboy.
Yeah, me too. Oh, we're gonna cover those.
Terminator train heist. Wait, was there? That had to have been just a. Terminators are really cool. Let's make a Terminator with a lot of them on a train. And this all sounds
Terminator
very cool.
On a train.
Crazy enough, it could work. They're pulling from a lot of very classic cinema as well. You have on here Cabaret.
Yeah,
John Hamm does show up looking almost exactly like like Joel Grey in the movie, and I was just like, okay, girl.
Yeah, and you have this like indentured servitude in a cabaret brothel type thing, which is that's almost like from a Japanese Eroguro film, that kind of thing. So yeah, you're right. There are a lot of disparate elements being thrown together here, and I think that's something that makes the film not work for a lot of people. But I love it because I think they mesh well together. I think what they do with it is fantastic.
And at least it's fun. I mean, it is fun, even though we have this as sort of a Punisher. Like the stuff that isn't the sexual assault and indentured servitude stuff is very fun. Some of that's fun too. Again, I am specifically talking about that Love is a Drug cover. I just put that on my background. I would just watch that weirdness all the time.
Yeah, there are a lot of movies with Oscar Isaac dancing and or singing, and it's great because I love the way that man moves. Even with that horrible mustache. Yeah, it's like somewhere between a noir character and John Waters. Like it's not thin enough to be John Waters, but it's not thick enough to be like a 70s or 80s guy.
Right?
Mustache.
Not Burt Reynolds and not David Niven. Wow, these are some wild kids. Look up your not your horror history. Look up your classic movie history. You can do it on the internet. Who are these people you're talking about? Just before we move on, I did make mention of there has been a history in many countries of people, particularly women, being accused of having mental illness or being thrown into asylums, committed, and so then someone could take their land, take their assets. This was actually referenced in a movie earlier this year, which is like one of my favorites, Frewaka, which is...
I still need to watch it.
Oh, God. Just the gift that keeps on giving for me, but at one point, one of the characters talks about the madhouses, and this is something that happened a lot in Ireland for Protestants kind of coming in and taking over Catholic land, is that for colonization purposes, they would come in, get a woman committed, and take her assets. And so land rights in Ireland have always been a really big thing. And this is just a fun history lesson. Caitlin of the North, here to bum you out. Madhouses, woo!
It's our historical context section, and I think that's an important thing to consider. So we're not pulling a trope from movies. We're pulling a trope from fucking history and condemning it, essentially. We talked about Companion was that last week? I think that was last week.
Yes.
And in that, we talked about that it's a very smart feminist text made by I don't know if he's straight, but made by a dude. And it's like, sometimes dudes can reflect on the actions of the patriarchy and have a balanced viewpoint on it. I think Zack Snyder is not necessarily the best person to do that. Not for any reason about him as a person. Simply, he just tends to have a very heavy hand.
And the kind of movies he tends to make, I think, are also heavily a lot of dudes.
Yeah, and so this is kind of an outlier in his category. And I think he earnestly does his best with that kind of messaging. Anyway, moving on from that. In the socio-political landscape, you wrote, "Oh, this doesn't matter in the slightest." And I am actually going to firmly disagree with that. So, we don't know when this movie actually takes place. It's kind of one of those alternate universes where it's a little bit out of time. And then when we go into reality layer 2, it's definitely more of a period piece in the past. But then in reality layer 3, we're in this like futuristic science fiction, medieval fantasy world. And again, it just all works for me because it's cool. Sometimes it's okay to have things in your movie that are just cool. And I love that.
Doesn't have to mean anything, however.
Yeah. But in our real world, we had Don't Ask, Don't Tell ending in the military. We had more states approving same-sex unions, but we also had reproductive rights being vastly restricted by a lot of state legislation. And so you have this mixed bag. And that's all stuff that happened in 2011. So before or after this movie coming out. So it didn't necessarily have the strongest bearing on it, but it's still interesting to take those things into context because there is some queer coding in this. There's obviously a lot about women's autonomy, both bodily and mentally.
I think I finally got that like the third time I watched the movie. I was like, oh, this is what we're talking about. I was dropped right in the middle of this movie and was like, I guess we're going. Okay. I do agree that there was more that the movie at least was attempting to say than you would see at first glance. Especially if you're very stoned and half watching. That is not the way to watch this movie the first time, everyone. Unless you're just like, I just going to put something in the background that I want. Every time I look up, I just go, wait, what?
Yeah, it's so funny because usually when I watch something the first time, I'm just like laser focused on it, paying really close attention. And then when I watch it the second time, I'm still paying very close attention, but I'm not as focused on the details and I'm more just letting myself go on the emotional journey. And then after that, if I rewatch it, I'll watch it a little distracted, unless I'm showing it to someone, in which case I still want to be focused on the movie and having that shared experience with them.
And look, I love Joseph Kahn's Detention. I don't know if you've seen it.
Oh, I got to see that for Terror Tuesday a few weeks ago, and it was a fucking blast.
Yeah! I kind of felt the same way. I'm like, I'm just going to sit here and let this movie wash over me because there's no point in fighting it. It's just going to make me mad. And I will also say one of my big initial reactions to the movie was because I thought I was tricked. And I wasn't supposed to know that this was a dream. And I cannot tell you. I can tell you. I'm going to tell you right now. I fucking hate that trope. I hate it so much. I don't like it when I feel like, well, then what was the point? Because everything we just watched, you've just been like, well, it didn't matter. Ha ha.
Well, and I think this movie subverts that by having it matter. We're seeing an altered reality, but she's still been doing a lot of these things, just with less glamour around it. You know, she's still been getting these items, setting a fucking fire, helping someone escape, and, you know,
in a much more scrappy way.
Yeah, exactly. And
Dirty. A dirtier, less flashy, glossy.
Mm-hmm. Right. And I think that's a nice subversion. And I think it also, I'm not reading you here, I promise. But I think if you are paying close attention to the movie, when we have that reality layer switch, it is pretty clear, like, oh, we're in her mind now. Because she's about to get lobotomized, and then all of a sudden there's a different person in the chair. There's a different person holding the chisel or whatever the fuck it's called. I don't want to know what that tool is called. I'm not looking it up.
Oh, I'm like, how do I not know the name of that tool? I love surgical museums. We make our own fun. Yeah, no, well, I was not paying attention. That was not a read. You are correct. That's just fact at this point.
Well, speaking of some more facts, we usually talk about what influence this had on our culture. And I added that Zack Snyder came up as a music video director starting all the way back in 1989. He did not make his feature film directorial debut until 2004 when he remade Dawn of the Dead. And I saw that in the theater opening weekend. And I actually thought it was pretty good. And I had never seen the original. I didn't see the original until earlier this year or sometime last year with Ken Faree in attendance, which was awesome. And it was in 3D. It was pretty cool. It was a good experience. But yeah, that original one, I liked it. I liked a lot of Zack Snyder's movies.
People were really mad about the zombies, right? That was a
I think so. I just remember being excited that Kevin Zegers from the Air Bud movies was in it. Yeah, that's him. And I've always liked Mekhi Phifer, and he's great in it, even though he makes some really stupid decisions. But yeah, I thought that was a fun movie, and I was kind of like on the Zack Snyder train for a while. And then I don't think I've seen a single movie he's made after this one. And like, I even kind of liked The Owls of Ga'Hoole, which was the movie he made right before this. Is it a good movie? No. Did I still enjoy it? Yeah. You have two things under this category, and I love that you just put them there. No follow-up. Jenna Malone almost quit acting because she was so distraught over the bad reception to this movie. And that makes me really sad. So I'm glad she didn't quit.
I'm so glad she didn't quit. And I was like, oh no. So that's why I put that in there. I think I got that either off of Wikipedia, though, or IMDb. So
who knows if it's true?
Right. I could see, though, being, it's wild being an actor because so many people are looking for validation, but at the same time, we're all so fragile. Like any sort of rejection, everything's very heightened emotionally. So
yeah,
I could see, depending on what kind of state you are in or what kind of year you're having, just going like, I can't do this.
Yeah, that's fair.
I don't want to do this anymore. This isn't fun for me.
Yeah, and like you wrote, the reception is not great. This has a Rotten Tomatoes score of 22%. It does have a 2.8 on Letterboxd out of 5, which is honestly higher than I thought it was going to be. Like I said, I gave this movie 4 stars. I'm not ashamed of that. I don't believe in guilty pleasures.
Never be
if
ashamed.
I did, I would say this is about as close as I could get to a guilty pleasure. But I don't feel guilty for liking it. This movie didn't hurt anybody. I don't have to feel bad for enjoying it. And we don't have to feel bad for saying, let's make that money. And now we're going to dig into the meat, the goo, and the viscera in a section we call Enough is a Myth.
No. I've done enough.
Enough is a myth.
Okay, so rewatching this time, I couldn't help but comparing the multiple layers of reality, or the multiple levels of reality, I suppose, to Inception. People love Inception.
People lost their goddamn minds over Inception.
I liked it the first time I saw it, and then I tried to rewatch it, and I was like, I don't fucking care. Whereas, like, I can rewatch Memento over and over and still be compelled by that movie. And, there's a lot of Christopher Nolan movies that have come out in the last 15 years that I just haven't given a shit about
I find
seeing.
him very wanky.
Yeah, I mean, he
and
is
just
kind of
not
wanky.
interested in like the stories that he's telling. They're not compelling to me personally.
Right. And so in this, we do know that a lot of what we were seeing is a heightened version of reality. It's Baby Doll contending with her horrible, shitty reality by enhancing it one layer and then another layer to find her inner strength, get this shit done, and eventually help Sweet Pea escape. Why do people dislike this movie so much? But they have no problem with Inception's multiple layers of reality and the fact that the ending is completely ambiguous. We do not know if that ending is real or not. And, a lot of people have done analysis like, oh, well, the top was never his talisman, it was his wife's. Or like, oh, the top is spinning, but we don't know if it falls down. Just all of those kind of things. I feel like people kind of bend over backwards to defend that movie, and they trash this one. And yes, they are very different movies, but they're doing kind of similar things. This is, in its essence, a heist movie. And that's exactly what Inception is.
And my answer to your question is women.
Mm.
It stars women.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate reality of it, isn't it?
When I was watching this with Brian, he was talking about, he's like, I can't believe I didn't see this movie. Like, well, it did come out in 2011, which he was moving across the country and he's like, this seems like something like my college roommates would have really liked, or like I would have seen a lot in college. I was like, well, you weren't in college at the time. And two, I was like, are you and your friends watching a female empowerment musical video movie? Would this have appeal to you? Like, I'm just like seriously curious. Would this have appeal to you? I did find out that one of my other good friends, her partner, he really, really enjoyed it when it first came out. So I was like, nice. Okay. I don't remember Inception very much because I saw it one time. I was like, okay, movie. Yeah, whatever. Particularly because I don't know if you know about Paprika.
Yes, and I know Inception is mostly a ripoff of Paprika.
And so
which I have not watched, but apparently there's an anime section on Criterion now, and that's one of the movies they have up.
It's very good. Warning, very fat phobic. When I rewatched it, I was like, oh my god, okay, we can calm down on this. Everything else, though, is fantastic and just felt so original and new. And I had seen Paprika, I think as part of the Seattle International Film Festival before it was in a wider release. So I saw Paprika well before I saw Inception. And then saw Inception and was like, okay, wait a minute.
Hold on a second.
I think I've seen this, but it was made by a Japanese man. And like you said, everyone kind of just bending over backwards because I'm not saying it's wrong to like Christopher Nolan. Again, your preference, your type of movie, that's totally fine. And I think his movies do appeal to a certain section of film fans that do skew male and does skew white. And those film fans can take up a lot of space in conversations concerning what movies get talked about and which ones don't. And I think that is just Christopher Nolan's an artist and Zack Snyder makes populist trash with women. His only movie to feature almost a fully female cast.
Yeah.
You want to see men go to 300. Yay!
Yeah, of course. Next up, you said rank these covers in order of least to most upsetting. So why don't you go first?
Okay, and I think part of my other issue with the covers was a lot of times what they were over was just so on the nose that it was a bit grating to me. I like my music to invoke, like, oh, I get what you're trying to say, and this is beautiful, instead of, this is what I'm showing you, and this is what I'm saying to you, kind of. Like, yes, so that I think was part of my also, like, what is going on? Also, I was not expecting this to be a musical. Yo, this is a musical. I think it's a musical. Even though the characters themselves aren't singing, I don't know, music is used as a vehicle for emotion and plot movement, so it's kind of like...
Yeah, I suppose in that way you could
And
consider
it all
a
centers
musical.
around sexy dancing.
That is very true.
Did everyone... No, so everyone's just watching her dance, right? Not everyone's transported to the hypno world, because I thought everyone was transported and watching, like, this really cool thing happening, and I was like, oh, okay.
I think they are transported there, but they don't necessarily retain their memories of it.
Or they wouldn't really know what was actually going on.
Right.
Of
I
the vague
think
nature of the...
Yeah, I think her dancing just has this hallucinogenic effect on people. And
Her swaying.
right, and if you're on her wavelength, like some of the girls are, then you get to go in there with her and have your own free will. Otherwise, you're just a background character or an NPC.
I like saying, oh, that makes sense. Yes. And the reality of this movie, it makes sense on one of those 3 levels.
Yeah.
Promise. Okay, so here I go. Least, I love that cover of Love is a Drug. I love that scene. I am a musical theater queen, like classic kind of musical theater, so that was like, yes, give it to me. Love, 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 love. I'm like, ridiculous. So that is my least upsetting. Love is a Drug, which is a Roxy Music cover done by Carla Gugino and Oscar Isaac. And then the White Rabbit cover, Jefferson Airplane, and this is Emiliana Torini. Absolutely
Well
my
done.
guess of how that is said.
Yeah, no, she's an Icelandic Italian musician.
Oh!
And her
Oh.
first full-length album was... It wasn't really co-produced. It was like half the songs were produced by Siggy Balderson, who had worked with Bjork several times, and half the songs were produced by Roland Orzabal from Tears for Fears. And I've always loved Emiliana Torini. She's put out a couple albums that I've been like, yeah, this is fine, but she has a few that they're like top tier for me.
I was just going to say Brian's part Italian American, so that was me giving it my best go. Nailed it! So this Beatles cover by Alison Mosshart and Carla Azar, the reason why I have this a little higher, I think, well, other than I barely remember it, so it must not have upset me as much. I said Tomorrow Never Knows out loud, saying, oh, that's the name of this song. I think at the same time, the wise man said, like, the same thing. At the same time. Or we both said Never Knows. It was a wild moment of kismet, and I was side-eyed the movie so hard. I was like, oh, okay, we're just saying the names of the songs now. And then I have to decide, where is my mind? I'm going to go to my second most upsetting cover.
Oh, wow.
Yes, and I will get into. And what a choice to use over like a asylum as Baby Doll is getting beat down, where it's just very, very literal. Again, where is my mind? And it's just not that strong of a cover musically. I think and you are using like one of the biggest Gen X anthems from one of their biggest goddamn movies. And it's just like, oh, right. Choices. And so my number one most upsetting is Search and Destroy, the Stooges cover. I think it is because they're bombing at the same time, so super on the nose. Probably because out of all of these artists, the Stooges are my favorite on the list.
Okay.
And I just don't feel like the cover does anything really different.
Yeah, that's fair. I like Skunk and Nancy. I think they're a great band. And I think the fact that, like, you have a slightly punky, but more like metal band with a bald black woman as the vocalist. That's pretty fucking cool. They're in the movie Strange Days performing their song Selling Jesus. It's like they're outside on the stage at the New Year's celebration. And so because I saw that movie when I was 10 fucking years old, which I should not have seen, they kind of stuck with me. So that's the only reason I'm defending them a little bit. I'm not saying I love this cover.
It is just the cover. I don't know much about Skunkanese.
Anansi.
Anansi. Oh.
Yeah.
But like the remix of Army of Me that plays over the credits, like excellent remix.
Mm-hmm. And all of the other songs are from the 80s or earlier. Army of Me is the only song from the 90s.
Interesting. I did not pick that up at all.
Yeah. That's the first track on Bjork's album Post, which came out in 98, I believe. Oh, wow. Okay, no, I'm sorry.
Was it 94?
No, it's 95.
89? Oh, 95.
Yeah.
80, she was still with the sugar cubes. We're just talking about Bjork now.
Welcome to our Bjork podcast. I'm going to go through my ranking just really quick.
Yes.
I think Oscar Isaac and Carla Gugino singing Love is the Drug is absolutely incredible. It's sexy. They both have great voices. They dance well. It's wonderful. I think Emiliana Torini's version of White Rabbit is excellent. I love the way it's used. And I understand what you're saying about the songs being a little on the nose. But if you think about it this way, Baby Doll is using these songs as the vehicle to launch into that fantasy world. So it makes sense that the scenes that are being created are on the nose. And again, I'm defending this movie. Even though I don't need to. I just like this movie.
I think one of the Letterboxd reviews I read was just like, y'all haters, like, this movie's fun. Shut up.
Yeah. And then I'm going to do Sweet Dreams because I think it's used well. And look, I hate that I love the Marilyn Manson version of that song because I can't listen to it anymore because he's a fucking piece of shit. But this cover is pretty good. You know, that's one of those songs where, like, yeah, the original version's good. It's fun to dance to, but I feel like other people have done covers of it that are better than the original. And honestly, I think this is one of them. And then I'm going to go with Tomorrow Never Knows because similar thing. I do not like the Beatles. I cannot stand listening to the Beatles, but they wrote some really good songs that have covers that are better than the originals. I love the cover of Tomorrow Never Knows that's used in The Craft, and I like this one a lot. Alison Mosshart has an incredible voice. I've always loved her. It's an enjoyable song. And then Search and Destroy is, far down on my list just because there aren't that many songs. I don't think it's bad. I do kind of agree with you. They don't do enough with it. And then, that Where Is My Mind cover is, despite Emily Browning's voice being pretty, the music is it's boring. It's a boring cover. And that's the one that I don't love the way it's used in the movie. So that's my ranking. But We talked earlier about this cast being completely stacked. What do you think attracted all these actors to it? And do you think they expected a different final product?
That is a great question. I feel like a lot of the actors that were in this weren't like capital F famous.
Right, not at that time. Even Vanessa Hudgens hadn't like blown up quite the way that she ended up blowing up. Although she had already been in a High School Musical.
Oh, that was it. I was like, she was a Disney kid?
Yeah,
right?
I think so. Musical.
That sounds right to me. I'll accept.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, do you think they knew what kind of movie they were making? Because they do seem like they're into it. When you watch it, it seems like people are having fun, especially Oscar Isaac.
Yes, Oscar Isaac seems to know like exactly what kind of movie he is in all three realities. Like the man is a very good actor, and he establishes himself, I think, with enough difference in, I guess he's in 2 of the realities? He's only 2. He never shows up in the 3rd reality.
Correct, because he's kind of the final boss. And she takes care of that in reality layer 2.
May is still explaining this movie to me as we are recording. We were recording for like an hour and a half, and I'm like, oh, yeah, uh-huh.
Look, I was on 2 episodes of Slayer Fest 98 this week talking about season 2 of The Magicians, and Ian was like, I don't remember. May, do you remember? And I like just go off on this whole thing with so many details, and he's like, I don't know how you do that. And I just lean into the mic and go, it's called autism.
There's like certain things I could just, like, my mind is a sponge for. And this movie was not one of them.
And that's totally fine.
My brain was just fighting against it the whole time. I think in my original synopsis I had written, I understand what all of these words are. Like, there's a lot of voiceover. I understand what the words are, but the way they're like put together and the sentences structure and the way those sentences are put together, I cannot follow. It just seems like random words to me that are just like
fair.
Kind of like catchphrase, like business speak, where you just hear like that one, like, for those of you in business, like KPI, performance, out of the box. And I was just like, guardian, angel, power, me.
I mean, what it boils down to essentially is that Baby Doll ended up being Sweet Pea's guardian angel.
Okay. I almost wrote one of my questions of, who is Sweet Pea? Because, okay, I'm getting off topic of what this question was. I don't know what these actors expected when they read this script. I wonder what the script looked like.
It would be interesting to see.
Like, were they just given at first the treatments for, like, the parts where they would have dialogue?
Yeah.
Because all of the really fun action sequences are wordless unless they're talking to the wise man.
Yeah, that's kind of true.
So I wonder, like, it's a feminist breaking out of prisons, both physical and mental.
Yeah.
Ladies, let's go.
It's a prison break heist movie set to kick-ass music. I think at this point, Zack Snyder was kind of a hot director. And again, it seems like people were having fun. So I think it just seems like a fun, interesting project. And it got panned critically, and it got panned by people, quote unquote, regular people who went to see it.
And I think that is also key, that I baffled that this movie exists. I was going like, I can't believe that, like, someone thought of this. Mm-hmm. And then other people gave that person money. And, like, this exists in our reality because it is so out of, like, any of the rest of his oeuvre.
Mm-hmm.
It is very unique. And it's kind of a singular, like, entity where it is so weird that I have to admire just that we have it.
Yeah. Well, it seems like we're kind of getting into our final thoughts here. So let's move into our penultimate category. Let's play a game.
Hello. You don't know me, but I know you. I want to play a game.
Okay. So, Caitlin, you were already kind of giving some final thoughts. Is there anything else you want to say about the movie?
I will say that this was a really interesting conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I will go back and rewatch the movie, but I do think that you have made some very excellent points.
Thank you.
I have seen it in a different light from the very kind of surface of my mind just wasn't able to track it the whole time. And I think that was like, I'm so confused, which I do not like being. And then on top of that, feeling like I was tricked at the end was really, I think if I hadn't known that this movie, if I didn't think the movie was trying to trick me, I wouldn't have had such a visceral response as I first did.
That's fair. Well, maybe you'll watch it in another 5-10 years and you'll be like, you know what? I kind of like this.
The story behind it's very charming. That, two buddies were just like, yeah, let's make this movie that we've always wanted to make. I mean, it's a much higher budget Evil Dead 2. Someone's going to get so mad at me. How dare you?
What would you do if I told you I haven't seen Evil Dead 2 yet? Say you were a fucking moron. Sorry, quoting High Fidelity.
Oh,
so this is our first movie episode that we're doing that we have pretty opposed viewpoints. You definitely consider this a Punisher, am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. So I understand that this is a Punisher for most people. I love it, and it's not the kind of movie. I think that's why I haven't watched it in so long, because I know that no one's going to want to sit down and watch this movie with me, and I don't like putting on something and having people dislike it. I accidentally showed my friend Haley the movie Let Us Pray, which we will cover on this podcast eventually because I like that movie a lot.
I've seen it, but I've wanted to.
It is very much a Punisher, and there's some heavy shit in it that I had forgotten about from my first watch that is stuff that she does not like to see in movies. And I was like, oh fuck, I've made a huge mistake. I don't like doing that to people. So
I
for
enjoy
me,
it.
No, I know. And but again, that's why our dynamic works so well. So I'm sorry that I punished you with this movie, and you've got one coming up that is definitely going to punish me that we'll announce later.
I'm getting you back.
You really are.
Really are.
And you know what? That's okay. But let's wrap up with what awaits us next time.
Don't you see? He's got us now. Okay, this is exactly what he wants. We can't go to the police. Not now. He's made sure of that. He's just out there and he's watching us and waiting. What are you waiting for, huh? What are you waiting for?
That brings us to the end of our episode. Thanks so much for joining us on this journey, fellow travelers. If you like what you've heard, please leave us a rating and review wherever you can, because it helps more people find the show and it makes us all tingly inside. You can find us on Instagram at Pleasers and Punishers, and on Blue Sky at Pleasers Punishers. You can also email us at pleaserspunisherspodcast@gmail.com. Write in with questions. Tell us we're hot. Tell us you think we suck. We'll write back to you and tell you, no, you suck.
Tell us if you think that that Evil Dead 2 is basically the same movie. Bring it.
Oh, God.
Don't rate us based on that.
You can find me on Blue Sky and Letterboxd at Everson Poe. That's EversonPoe. You can find my music on Bandcamp and streaming services as Everson Poe, 2 separate words. And you can hear me on Tender Subject and Slayerfest 98. Caitlin, where can everyone find you?
You can find me at Caitlin of the North, Caitlyn, on Blue Sky and Instagram. Instagram, I posted some great pictures of my cat, so hope you like those if you follow me there. And I am also on Letterboxd, Cat of the North.
And next week's episode will be on the third entry in Dario Argento's Animal Trilogy, Four Flies on Grey Velvet. Spoiler, this is one of my favorite gialli, and I am very excited to talk about it because I know you have not seen this.
I haven't seen it, and I love gialli. I love it. I love Argento, so really looking forward to this.
Excellent. Well, until then, do some aftercare, clean your toys, set healthy boundaries. Don't ever write a check with your mouth you can't cash with your ass.
I know